Nico's pick of the week was the 2018 film Mandy. What the fuck? Go on.
God damn, how the fuck am I going to describe what happens in this movie?
It's such a simple plot, though.
Fair enough.
I feel like it is kind of straightforward.
Yeah, so we've got Nicolas Cage. He's a lumberjack, and he's married to his girl Mandy, okay? They're just a couple of weirdos who live out in the woods. But one day when Mandy's out and about, a fucking cult snatches her up, and they're like, hey, we think you're an absolute baddie. We're going to drug you up and have you have sex with our leader now. But Mandy doesn't want to do that. She just laughs at his tiny little penis, to which he murders her for, and Nicolas Cage witnesses the whole ass thing, to which he goes on a fucking rampage and kills all the cult members and their demons and such.
Dude, my haiku as inspired by Mandy. Flower child cult. Demon bikers burn Nick's wife. Revenge killing spree. Okay. I had this thought. It appeared to me in a dream. I want to see how much you guys do or do not agree with this take.
Think about this. Nicolas Cage, he's a Christ figure.
No, not that. So this, I was remarking all week that I was having a lot of consternation over this film.
Yeah.
And I think I've come to the conclusion that this is either a good movie, very convincingly disguised as a bad movie, or a bad movie convincingly disguised as a good movie. Would you guys, what are your guys' thoughts on that theory?
I think there is more nuance than that, so I disagree. I think you can. I mean, I'm just going to be honest.
The basic concept is accurate.
I think there's a lot this movie does well. I think there's a lot this movie does poorly, and I think it's very easy to have a straight down the middle ranking. And like I said, I'm going to be honest. I have a pretty straight down the middle ranking for this movie, because it's like a balancing act of cool things and bad things for me. Yeah, you go ahead on that topic, Nico, I guess.
I think it was a pretty good movie for the most part, you know? I think that Mandy was an enjoyable time.
Personally, I didn't enjoy it that much. I thought it was pretty fucking boring. I think there are some cool things they're doing. You know, obviously the colors and just the general presentation of this film is probably the most striking thing that would make people under the illusion there's more depth to this, but it's a pretty simple story for the most part. It's just some fucking guy and his traumatized wife. She gets killed and he goes on a revenge tear. There's a lot more going on under the scenes. Obviously, there's a lot going on with the setting of this film that for some reason, I watched a few reviews of this movie because I just wanted to get like a fucking test of the waters and what other people that were positive about this movie were thinking about it. And none of them addressed the setting at all. They're all pretty straightforward with what the plot was going on. Even though there's demons, there's some fucking planets in the sky. Obviously, the weird lighting. There's some maybe some religious, in real life undertones things. Who knows? There's a lot of crazy shit going on with the setting. It's kind of like Evangelion in that way, except this movie does it poorly because it doesn't actually work with the setting really, except for really basic things. You could almost ignore the setting and just have it be a totally realistic, down-to-earth movie, in some regards, without some really minor supernatural shit going on, like him throwing a fucking knife at that guy and him not dying, or his fucking car getting flipped over when he hits the guy. Everything else is pretty realistic for the most part, and it's just really fucking slow-paced and boring.
I mean, so, yeah, you know, the first half or so of the film is a pretty slow burn, okay? We're setting up these characters of Nicolas Cage and Mandy. We're seeing their tender little relationship that, over the course of the rest of the half of the film, gets ripped away from them rather violently. And then Nicolas Cage is now thrust into this world of fucking drugs and demons and violence, okay? Which really, helps set up the high-octane action that we experience in the latter half, which I think that, for the most part, is very well done at that. Now, I do think that there are scenes during that first half that perhaps drag on a bit too long.
Dude, I like that scene where the fucking cult leader is face-to-face with the chick while she's high as balls, and the entire frame is just his face for 5 minutes while he's giving a speech.
That may have been the exact scene I was thinking of. But even during those moments, they do have some fucking cool shit going on. During that part specifically, the fucking cult leader's talking to her, and there are these really cool effects going on where his face is constantly fucking warping and changing. It looks like sometimes it fucking becomes her face, for example, and he'll be speaking but his mouth won't be moving. A bunch of shit like that I think is pretty sweet. So at the very least, even during the slower and more boring moments, the film is still a visual masterpiece, as it were. It's very stunning, like Jackson said previously. It has fantastic colors and lighting, cinematography all around, comes together into a very nice, ethereal, atmospheric package at the end of the day, which, you know, even during the moments where things ain't quite as good, you at least have some eye candy to look forward to.
Yeah, I'm gonna dub this genre art house schlock. It's like tastefully done bullshit, basically.
Yeah.
Because, like, the plot is... It's very straightforward. It's, you got these villains, you got the cult, you got demons, and then you got Nicolas Cage, and he's gonna murder them horrifically.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, with the cinematography and the colors and, like, the drug stuff and whatever, they artsy-fartsy it up for you.
It makes it very surreal, you know? Like, it fucking... Well, like, it could just be this very boring, gray, muted sort of color scheme that we're going for. Something akin to, like, I don't know, The Raid? But no, of course, they make it, like, you know, actually a feast for the eyes and make you not fucking want to fall asleep just looking at it.
Yeah, but the action sucked in this movie, and the action in The Raid was kind of cool.
Dude, the action in this movie was cool, though. Do you see that fucking chainsaw fight when that guy just fucking walks around the corner and busts out a massive chainsaw to fight with?
Yeah, that shit was pretty fucking goofy. I did not take it very seriously at all.
That shit was cool as fuck. You're crazy, dude.
Yeah, I didn't particularly like really any of the action in this film, to be completely honest. I was pretty indifferent to it overall. Mostly just because of like the suspension of disbelief. But they don't really set up our main character as the supreme badass. He is unfortunately the supreme badass, though, as it turns out, which kind of came as a shock. Like, to my knowledge, he was just some fucking regular dude living in the forest, but now he's like combat trained and knows how to make fucking weapons and shit. Which it didn't really seem like they set his character up very well, given like the runtime. It mostly seemed like they were trying to show some trauma shit going on with his wife and not really anything about himself, even though he's the primary focus of this movie. Pretty strange, and it kind of just puts a bad taste in my mouth, personally.
Okay, but, Jackson, you at least have to admit that, like, you know, Nicolas Cage's performance was pretty good in this movie, right?
Yeah, I think it's good. I think the acting overall is pretty good. I think one of the scenes that's really easy to take away that was really well done is just the fucking scene of him in the bathroom. I think just his general reaction to his wife dying was really well done. Like, him walking into the fucking house and there's that catharsis of just that stupid commercial playing. That shit like that happens all the fucking time, where something really fucked up happens in your life, just something really horrible, and then obviously the world keeps fucking spinning, nothing's stopping for you, and you'll just see something that's like completely out there. And that's definitely happened to me many times. So it was a pretty relatable scene. I thought that was pretty well done.
Yeah, what's the saying? Life is a dark comedy.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff like that in this movie. There's like little subtle things that are like really well done overall, just in terms of like the performances and the way they produce them. But also just the plot is so fucking thin and it's so slow, and there's very little to grasp onto outside of that. Like, there's like little moments of success within this film for me with some cool visuals, but primarily it's just really slow and boring.
I completely forgot about goblin cheese, but I'm very happy I was just reminded of it.
I'm glad to help.
Yeah. That was actually done by the same dude who did some shit for Adult Swim, I think.
Yeah, I could
Makes
see
sense.
it.
Yeah.
What did Dylan think about it, though?
Boy, where do I start with this movie? Yeah, that's kind of all I got. This movie's really slow, kind of boring. The plot is kind of just whatever. It took me, and I get this a lot, so it might have just been me. It took me to like the end of the movie to realize what this group of people were. I think there was that part in the middle where Nicolas Cage went to visit his one friend who lived in the trailer, and his friend in the trailer told him who they were, but even then I was still kind of like, I don't get what's going on. Yeah, the plot's not very straightforward. Everything's jumbled up. There's a lot of fade to black cuts in this movie at really unnecessary places. And there was one time I remember in the beginning of the movie where it was a fade to black just to like pop back into a scene for 30 seconds to fade to black again. So I would say that fade to black is a little overused in this movie. Aside from that, the plot, I'm going to go back to the plot. It's not super cohesive. I don't think the acting is good enough in this movie to save it from what it was. And on top of that, it's a 2-hour movie. Not saying that's a long time, but based on how boring this was and literally wanted to occupy my mind doing anything else watching this, does not send a good message. I remember talking to Jackson. He said he remembered that the movie got better about the 2/3 mark. He said the 2/3 mark was pretty enjoyable, which at that point, that is most certainly a death for most movies. The last 2/3 of the movie was better than the rest of the movie. The action was kind of serviceable, but like at the end of the day, I wasn't really able to interpret what was going on. I'm sure that the point of this movie is to be left to interpretation. I'm sure you guys might have you guys are either gonna have a really long discussion about this, or my review is gonna be longer than all of your guys' combined. So yeah, not super crazy about this movie. There's just so much in this movie that didn't make sense. It was boring. It was slow. This movie just did not have a whole lot going for it, and because of that, because I mentioned in the chat that this movie was dumb, I gave it a D because this movie is dumb.
Wow, he fucking hated it. He thought
What
it
a
was
fucking dumbass. I hate that guy.
he thought it was even worse than I Spit on Your Grave, apparently.
Actually insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, unhinged opinion.
By the way, shocked you haven't mentioned this at all yet. This film is an awesome soundtrack as well, by the way. It has like that intense rock music and also the immersive synth. Fantastic all around. No notes for that. That's my ranking for it, though. I thought it was a very good movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It does obviously have its flaws as well, though, so I think I'm going to be giving it a B.
Yeah, I easily like this the best of all of it, all of us. I agree, a bit too slow of a burn at the beginning for me, but I am heavily biased towards movies that have exciting and engaging endings, and this has that in fucking spades. So I ended up giving this one an A-.
He just fucking crushes that guy's skull. I'm your god now!
Yeah.
Dylan gave it a D. I don't know if that was said. Did you say that? I'm not fucking. I can't. If you said
Dylan
that,
gave it a D.
Yeah.
Dylan gave it a D.
He did.
I thought you were reacting to like you had said his rank already. And you're like, you dumbass! I just said that.
No.
Yeah, no. D is crazy for this movie.
He's insane. I haven't listened to his review, but like fucking, there's no way.
I haven't either.
He just thinks it's boring,
still,
basically.
my review is still pretty harsh as well. I could see myself pretty easily increasing this in the future, but right now I've got it as a C+.
Well, there we go. We have a different rank. What am I trying to say right now?
There are 4 wolves inside of you. How much do they like Mandy?
This is a divisive film. Who knew?
Wow. Where's it landed, Jackson?
Oh yeah, that's probably important. That lands it at a B- overall.
Wow.
Holy shit. I
That's
can
crazy.
accept that, to be honest.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
It's whatever.